So let me just start opening prayer and we start. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you that we are alive, that we are not sick. We can attend class. We ask, O Lord, that you be with us, with Geoff. We shall enjoy ourselves as we are learning. We shall all have power and internet and everything we need for a good lesson. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Once again, thank you, Dr. Ruth, for blessing the day. I believe I'm loud and clear and I've shared my screen. You can confirm in the chat with the one if you can hear me and see my screen. Double check and we get started. So Emmanuel Abdallah is saying you can hear me and you can see the screen. Just want to confirm about maybe 3 or 4 people. If you can see the screen, just to be sure. Kauma Andrew, 1, okay. Anthony. All right. I see people are now confirming that they can see the screen and I'm audible. Okay, yeah, day 2. It's a Wednesday. All right. I actually realized one thing that many times when you start introducing some concept using some editors, students always tend to think, why not the traditional PyCharm editor? It's always the same when you're using an editor to write your Python syntax or Python script. So I managed to also install PyCharm just so that when someone talks about it, you're not clueless. And we could write maybe 1 or few statements with it later. But I want you also to take time and try out the traditional code editor, basic editor for Python, which is PyCharm, when you're writing your code. Because basically when you're working in an industry, most programmers don't use PyCharm, they use VS Code. VS Code. So that's why I thought it wise that I introduce you to the current industry that most programmers prefer using VS Code than PyCharm. But that doesn't stop us from probably looking at how to write the script. Probably its syntax is always the same. It executes it normally. And nothing much. The only thing that I realized when I was coding in PyCharm is that there are spaces that you need to leave. PyCharm will always complain. Like here, in our today's lecture, we will be looking at control flows. Mr. Livingston is going to finish up the other part and is going to introduce Python basics to you. And he has quite a number of things to cover. But me, I will pick up one data structure or data type that you have been working with, and that is going to be dictionary that is more or less used when you're dealing with control flows. And in most cases, when you're referring to an order in which you can execute a program. So that's when we will now try to use dictionary all the time so that we can pass some text and then we see if we can perform or carry out a task that can solve problems. And I'm going to be dealing with situations, dealing with your emotions, dealing with your mental health. Those are the questions, the examples I'll be giving you, real world problems being solved using Python, but what you normally experience in real life. Okay. Yeah, I have now, this is This is PyCharm, and this is my VS Code. They're all code editors. We're just going to resume from where we stopped in day 2, which we're going to just look at control flows. I'll try to write my script in both editors, and then you will see if there's any big difference. I don't want people to say, oh no, we preferred using VS Code. We didn't use the traditional code editor for Python, which is PyCharm, but that's not a big issue. But I've explained to you, just know that in most industries, if you go to most companies, most programmers prefer using, actually they use VS Code because they can install all what they need without leaving VS Code to go to maybe another editor to perform certain tasks. Okay, so in our today's lesson or module, we will be looking at control flows, and I will try to explain the concept. I want you to be a little bit keen because this remaining particular area where I'm starting, it deals with a lot of basic thinking, reasoning, making decisions. And I believe that when you're dealing with control flow structures in Python, you need to understand that most of my words are going to be if, else, if, loops, for, while. Most of the time I'm going to be talking about that. And the keywords which are normally used in control flows: pass, return, yield, assert. So most of the time you will be hearing me mentioning those words a lot, but it's okay to ask questions if you don't understand some of those words. Okay, so basically, we're just looking at, let me just make this into, I comment it. All right. Now you see this red, this warning here is trying to show you that probably there's a problem, but I think it's an indentation. Once you start it from the line there, it will go away. You just be keen on that. I prefer now explaining most of my things using the code editor here. Okay, now we're going to be looking at control flow. Okay, and under control flow, I'll explain to you so that you understand them. We will look at our first part, which is going to be conditional statements. I believe this is going to be part of your notes, so you should take the notes write yours also in a VS Code script, so that you will be sharing it with me, and when you go back to it, you can read and understand. So we'll look at conditional statements, which I mentioned here that we will look at if, we will look at if, and then we will look at else. Okay, so these are the only ones, the statements that we will be looking at it. But now I see the number is still only 41, but that's going to be very unfortunate for those ones who would come late, because pretty much this is where most logical operands are being performed. Okay, now what does control flow means? Okay, in your own understanding, probably you could unmute and then you try to tell me what you know about control flow. Or I can introduce that, then I ask you, what do you know about if, elif, or else? Now, in a simple term, you could write it. You have a notebook, you note it if you want, but understanding is the most essential. If you understand what I explained, that's important. I'll go slow, but I have some more examples towards the last 1 hour, which contains most of these conditional statements. So control flow is just is a statement which are executed in a program. It allows you to control how a program should run, or how a program should be executed based on certain condition. Okay. So if you're using a if condition, that means you want to refer if the condition is true, then execute that condition. Then the elif, which I'll talk about it when I'm explaining the conditional statement. I'm just giving you an example. This is a common practice. Like you want to know your voting rights. You're writing a computer program that should allow people who are only 18 years to vote. That means there's what they call a condition that you're trying to refer to. Now, if you're not 18 years and above, you cannot vote. That's where you apply the Python basics. Okay, the greater, the less than, to execute that code. Now, when writing, we will look at it in real examples, but let me explain all the three, then you understand. Now, let's now look at the conditional statements, which allows you to execute the codes based on the conditions. I'll just give you the outline of the syntax. I've explained control flows, so now you're going to look at that. You see, I've just pressed enter. It says if gender sex, print male, else prints female. I can even complete this. That's why I like tab 9, because tab 9 can give you even basic examples. Okay. Now this becomes the first condition. Okay. This becomes the first condition. If gender, so this gender here, gen for gender, is the first condition. It prints male. Now that means it can only satisfy this condition if gender is male. Otherwise, it will print female. It will execute the code female. That is what always happens with the if condition. But let me just explain to you in a simple way. So if I'm just giving you, like, this is the first condition. Okay. This, like, you have condition 1. Now, for it to, you see, it's even suggesting for you that if condition 1 is true, if condition 1 is true, it executes that. Now, the next part is to look at elif. Now, for elif, I'm explaining elif. That is condition 2. So for elif to print a true condition, that means condition 1 must be false. So if condition 1 is false and condition 2 is true, then the elif will still print the true output. That is what you. Now, if both condition 1 and condition 2 are false, then otherwise they're all what? If all these are not true, then otherwise they're what? The otherwise part of it. That's when you now use what they call the else. Okay. I told you I like tab 9 because it will even suggest for me all the codes that I want to explain. So this code is only executed, this block of code, the condition, the code block is only executed if condition 1 is true. I hope you're understanding that. Okay. Don't mind about this. Let me just try to. Okay. Our PyCharm is not, I think this last one. Okay. That's why it was complaining. All right. So here, that particular code is executed. Now let's look at this code. Why did I write code clock? This particular code block. Okay, this particular code block for condition 2, it's only executed if the condition 1 is false. But if it is true, it will first print the first block. It tries, if this condition 1 is true, it executes this, prints this. But if condition 1 is false, it will go to condition 2 and check. If condition is true, 2 will check if condition 1 is false, then it will print condition 2. Otherwise, it will print false condition. Okay? It will print the else condition, the otherwise condition. So this is basically what happens when you're dealing with, okay, when you're dealing with conditional statements. I've explained this. Now I want to get some questions based on the 3 before I explain loops. Then we look at it in real life with real examples. Anyone who has not understood control flows, conditional statement if, elif, and else, you could unmute and then you ask your question based on that. Okay. Have you taken note? Any question? Can we try it with one simple example? Please, I like people who participate in class. There's someone who has put the $sign. Please, can you rename quickly? I want people to use their real names. I have the Steve, Ario Conrad. Please make sure you are in a quiet place because I want you to participate. Okay, if you don't want to participate, I'm giving you a quick example. And in this example, I just want you to use conditional statements. and then execute this code. Okay, I'm giving you two conditions. One, you're going to try it out in this example. You try it out, then you will share with me. Example 1. Now let's look at this example. I have three conditions. One, if your age is less than 18, if your age is less than 18, let's say it should print okay, the output should print you are under age. Then another condition, what is that? Another condition is if your age, remember I'm just giving you this condition, your age is that, then another condition statement that I'm giving you, if your age is greater or equals to. This Python basics Livingston is going to explain more, but we can relate because we did math at A level, so most of them are going to be easier. If your age is 18, let's see, is 18, and an age is less than, let's say 65, okay? Let it print a condition that, what should be the output? Can you suggest for me, you are what? You are an adult, okay? Then if all those conditions are false, okay, then it should print you are a senior citizen. Okay, so let's try out this one condition. If you get it right, then you can share your screen. If you don't, I'll work it out with you and I will show you in a few. Can you try it out and we see if you can execute those conditions using what I've just explained, using if, elif, and else. If you have understood the basics, because I have more advanced examples that we can use. So I'm giving you a chance. Those are you can write it. You have a phone, take a screenshot of this, then write it in your code editor, run it, display the output on this screen and then you explain. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'll put it in the chat. Then you should be able to try it out. Okay. All right, do it, share your screen. I'm giving you 1-2 minutes to think about it, write it, share your screen. There's something in the chat that I want to respond to. Is there a relationship between elif and else if? There is a relation. Please, someone sharing the screen. Please, I want you to share your screen. That's why I stopped sharing. Try it out, share it, or you can share your screen and ask members to assist you in writing the script. That's another way of learning. Let it be student-centered. Let it be student-centered. One person, Trevor, share your screen, and then you, as a whole class, you can participate. Trevor, Kato.
Good morning.
Yes,
Yeah,
good morning.
I'm connecting the Wi-Fi to my laptop. I was using my phone.
Then you guys
Then
are
I share.
you're over 95. One person sharing the screen and trying out that. As simple as that. Thank you, Martha.
So yes, this is what I did. I took my age as 21. So if my age, if age is like less than 18, I'm supposed to print you underage. But if your age is greater than 18, but less than 65, you're supposed to print you an adult. And if neither of the conditions can be satisfied, we're going to print you a senior citizen. So when I read, and since my age is 21, it's less than 18, that means it's greater than 18. That means I'm not underage. So this first statement will not run. So when it comes to the second, it's going to run because 21 is between 18 and 65. So that's why it printed young adult. So taking it to be like, if we take it like 70, it will, when we run, to print I'm a senior citizen because the two conditions before cannot be satisfied. So the only other thing to run is senior citizen.
Thank you, Martha. You guys, can you use some emoji for appreciating Martha? Please, you can use some reactions using emoji to, you can clap using the emoji because she has done a wonderful job. Anyone who wants to explain using another way, you're free. One last person, then we go to the next.
Good morning. So I used the control flow with if, elif, and else, and it checks if the age is above 18. If the age is below 18, it also checks for this range from 18 to 65, and otherwise the person is a senior. So when I run this code, the person is an adult. I also did another control flow code here, where we check if a number is an even number or an odd number, or if it's not, it's not a number. From this second if statement, there's an if, an elif, and an else. Checks if the number is divisible by 2, it's an even number. Otherwise, it's an odd number. If it's none of these, then it's not a number.
Well done. Can we have one last person? I see now people are doing it. People are understanding. You see, when you explain, your friend also understands better.
Yes, I have a variable age where I take an input from a user, then check, like if a user enter age which is below 18, I print your under age. And if the user enter a age between 18 and 65, I print you are an adult. Otherwise, if it is not in those ranges, I print you are a senior citizen. So this is the code from line 20 up to 26.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I think one lady to also share the screen, and then we can now move, because I see now people are understanding. A lady, if you're a gentleman, please relax. One lady to share. Okay. Looks like there's no any other person who wants to share. I'd given an opportunity for a lady to share, but now looks like there's no one who is willing to share. We can now, I think it's much clearer now that how you apply it, it's important. They have given you using the input. Some people have now moved ahead, which is a good thing. But you would basically convert this code by just first declaring a variable. Just like the way Odori said that, and Martha, if your age, you can give yourself any age. If maybe you're 20, you're 19, that is all okay. So you have a variable, which is age, and it's storing an integer, which is 20. Now, your first condition is, you see the beauty with using tab 9? It just suggests for you, and then you just press tab instead of writing all those codes all the time. Then you come and again write the next condition, elif, it execute. That's why it is even very easier these days to learn coding, because then it's going to print you're a senior citizen. Now, that's why I say that if you have tab 9 installed on your machine, you can see I didn't even spend a lot of energy writing these codes here. But I'm in control of the kind of the code which is being executed here. Now here, I can now just come to my terminal and then just save it first. Sometimes you can try to run and doesn't, or you can use, but always I said use the command line to run your code, which is just Python 3, then Geoff underscore Geoff, then .py. Then when you run, you can see, I think why it's bringing out Geoff here, there is a code which I've here. I haven't always tried to comment it out so that you can, because you're using the same, you will keep using the same code. Just try to comment everything so that you can only use the last example to run in the terminal. Now I can save this and then I can run it again, or I can clear the screen, then run it again so that it shows that when you print the output, it shows that you are an adult. Just like the way, if I change this to 17 and save it, then come back here and run, definitely I'll get a different output. You are underage. In a similar way, if you keep changing this condition to maybe like 90 and then save it and then come back and run, it executes you are a senior citizen. So coding has been made easier with AI. These days, you just need to know the flow. That's why we talk about control flow. If you know how the code should flow, with this AI tab 9 and then the formatter, coding becomes much easier. Now you can now see here, we can only explain that age, the variable age is declared to be 90, and 90 is being stored in age. Now, if age is less than this, then it prints this. This condition, when you look at the conditional statement, this condition 1 is being printed only if it satisfied this condition of age being less than 18. That is when it will print you are underage. But if age is greater than 18 and it's less than, based on this operands, this basic operands of greater or equals to, which you know, then in that variable, it will print that you are an adult. But if all these two conditions, this condition here and this condition 1 and condition 2 are false, then it will print what is now remaining. Otherwise, you are a senior citizen. Yeah, I think that is it. Now we're now going to go to our next thing, which is am I going to explain to you loops. I know I've explained this thing perfectly and with simple words, but we will have many examples to play with in our practice. So let's go to loops and we explain loops. I have a lot of examples and then exercises that you will do and submit to me today. So get ready for that. So let's look at loops. Now, for loops, we might only look at 2 loops. Let me just, how many people know the loops which we have in Python? How many people know the loops we have? So we have 2. Okay. We'll see how we can work with these 2 loops. So when you're dealing with a conditional statement, a control flow, that you're applying what they call loops. That means the loop will allow you to iterate over a sequence. And Livingstone has already explained the different data structures or data types: list, tuples, or even range. We can apply the loops. But now we need to understand in Python, how do we handle a sequence of that code being executed in form of a for loop, because it's going to iterate over a sequence. So let's look at a simple syntax just to explain to you what for means. For, then we shall explain while, and then we will look at the conditions where you can apply a break statement and a continuous statement. Then we look at one practical example. Then we'll be able to proceed easily. All right. Someone should mute the mic. Okay. I don't want to use range yet, but I'm just, because I've used this word like you iterate over a sequence. So I can say for I in sequence. Now you just terminate, let me just correct that spelling. Remember, we have not defined the sequence here. So I just need to make sure I put this in, I comment it so that I don't get that error thing. Because when you come here means we have not yet defined sequence. But we will try to do that in a few, just to explain. Okay. Now, I just first want to explain only that part. Now, when you have for I in a sequence, we have not defined sequence. It can be all item in sequence, or we can have fruits, then we can loop through. We will look at it in a more elaborate example here. Now, what this means is that the code which we have written here for I in a sequence, we are now explaining only this code here. It means that this particular code which is terminated for I in sequence, it can only execute that code for each item in the sequence. For each items can be like items. So it will iterate over that sequence. If you have a list of fruits and you want to iterate over it using the for loop. So the for loop will allow you to iterate over that sequence, which can be a list, a string. So that's what can happen. So you can use the for loop to basically iterate over a sequence. So let's look at one. We'll look at one basic example of a for loop, probably. So let's look at one example here. Let's say we want to loop over. Just give me a second. There's someone knocking on my door. A second. Okay. Just back again. I hope you can still hear me. Now let's look at an example of for, then we'll be able to go to a while condition. So for that for loop, it will iterate over a sequence or probably an object, and it will execute for each and every item in that sequence. Let us now declare, I know most of us love cars. I don't know whether you love cars but let's just use car example. Let's first declare a variable called cars, okay? Then in that car, we can store different list of cars. If you're very popular with the car brand names, okay? Maybe we can have a Tesla. Then we can have a Jeep. Then we can have a Ford. We can have a Toyota. And then we can have, which other car can I think of right now? A BMW. Okay. Now here we have it's actually very simple. Tab 9 is even suggesting for me how I should apply the for loop. Okay, I just hit the tab key. So that is what exactly it means. So it means that this particular, if you want to print car, because you have declared a variable cars, which contain a list, and inside that list there are strings. So when you output, when you save this and output it, it will, oh, you're a senior citizen. We just need to comment this out. Not to, okay. So loops. So it iterate over that list. Okay. That is how. Okay, just a second. Should have cleared my screen here earlier. Okay, so this is what the for loop does. So for cars in cars, it will iterate over what is inside that cars, and then it displays them in that order. So now I want you to try it out with a different example and understand that it executes each and every item in that cars. Each and every item, it executes it, and then the output, it just prints all what's within the what? Within the cars. So we can look at it in another examples. Maybe you try to declare a variable for different fruits. Okay, let me just give you this. You try it with fruits, and then try to use loops so that you can iterate over a sequence in a list of fruits. Then you share with me on the screen and you explain. As simple as that, then we shall go to the while loop. Just try it with fruits and share your example here on the screen. Please, someone with a dollar symbol, I'm going to send you to the waiting room if you cannot rename. Someone's name is, because probably I want you to be the one to share your screen. I don't know your name. So I think it's better I send you to the waiting room. How can I send that person to the waiting room? Okay. He has gone to rename. Okay, you share your screen using the example for fruits. It's easier. Any person, please don't waste time. What I dislike most is wasting time.
Here I'm using a different example. not the one that you've given us.
Which is okay.
I'm using a tuple for phones that has iPhone 14, Samsung Galaxy, and then Google Pixel. So I go ahead and prompt for phone. In the phones, I'll print out each and every phone. That's how it is shown this side. For each and every phone in the tuple, I'm going to be printing out that particular phone that I have in my tuple. So in my console, if I'm trying that, it is going to print out those specific phones in my tuple.
Okay,
that's
thank
it.
you. Yeah, thank you, Anthony. You've used a tuple or tuple, the way you pronounce it, which is okay. Okay, that's a good one because you've learned about the data types. So you can try it with also a dictionary and see. Next, can you have another person trying it out?
Okay. So, hope I'm heard.
Yes, you heard.
So this is example of fruits. I have this is a list of apple, orange, mango, and watermelon. Then I use the for loop. Then I use a specific value. Maybe I give it a fruit, whereby for each value in a list, it will be specified as a fruit. So each value in the list of fruits, it will be given a variable fruit. Then I will be printing that value of fruit for each iteration. Then when I come to the terminal here, this is what I get. I get apple, orange, mango, and watermelon.
Okay, thank you so much. That is the, let me see the name.
Owen.
Owen, okay, Owen.
I also did likewise.
Okay.
And I also have an example for while loop, which I commented out, which takes number from a user, and if it is an odd number, it groups them into a list. If it is an even number, it groups them into a list and print out the result afterward.
Okay. All right, thank you, Abdallah. Abdallah is always ahead. I don't know whether he has been practicing overnight, but that's a good gesture. We haven't heard from any lady. We could share that, and then we go for a while, then we go for our break, then we shall come back. Some people are dropping theirs in the chat. Okay. Man from nowhere, please. I don't know. Livingstone mentioned about you renaming. I'll just send you to the waiting room if you don't rename. That's the rule. Because I really want to mention your name. I see. Okay. All right. Let me just share my screen and we proceed. All right. So we've successfully learned how to apply for loops. Some people have even added in some input, which is okay. We can try them out in our advanced stages if you have mastered some of the concept. Let's just now move to a simple example. For just let's make it very, very basics, okay? When we are dealing with while loop, okay? So because here we are supposed to look at for and while. Then we can now have as many examples in more advanced examples with them. So let's have here what you call while loops. While. Now, so the while loop. Now, what the while loop what the while loop means here, has even given me an example here, but I'm not yet going to use that example. What I'm just trying to explain this. While loop helps you to execute that block of code as long as a certain condition. It helps you to execute that code of that block of code as long as the certain that condition is true. So that's what while loop does. So you can say while, just giving it in example, while then maybe the condition is true. Okay, that means it will execute while condition is true. So this is what while does. Once the condition is true, it will just execute that code. It has given us here that in this list, let me use a basic one, then you can use this. Then you shall come back to this example later. Okay, let's try it out with this simple example. Example 3. Very basics. So we want it to print numbers as long as it is less than 5 or 10. So that's our condition. So let's begin by making it easier. We can say if x is 0, so our variable x is storing 0. Now we want to apply what they call the while loops. So it has even suggested here. So while x is less than 5, print x, and then x plus equals to 1. So it will keep incrementing x. As long as x is less than 5, it will print. That condition is true. If it is that, it will jump out of the while loop. It will jump out of the loop. So that's what this statement means. Now let's try to run it here and see if it will print until it stops on when x is less than 5. So you can now see here, it started from 0 because that's where our first condition. Okay. So you can see, let me just comment this out. Just to keep it basic for people to understand, then you shall make it advanced. Now, so now here you can see while x is 0, while x is less than 5, it will print this condition because it is true. But once it reaches 5, because 5 is not less than 5, it will jump out of the loop. That's what while means. That means it executes that code as long as a certain condition is true. That is it. As long as a certain condition is true, it will keep executing that code. If you change the condition here to be 10, do you know what will happen? It will continue executing that code until, you see this time round, it is executing it until, because 9 is still less than 10. But once it reaches 10, it jumps out of the loop. That's what the while condition does. It prints a code as long as that condition is true. That mark that simple word, it prints a condition as long as a certain condition is true. That is it. That's the syntax. Now we can go and try it out with the other previous example, which it generated it for us from the list of what here. Okay. Then we have to just comment out this. Okay. Now here, while condition is true, it will execute that code. Now fruits, these are the fruits using the what? The list. Now for fruits count, we have a variable here, which is fruit count equals to 0. Now this 0 here, you know that apple plus index is 0, banana is 1, orange is 2. So that's how it is going to count from the length. Okay. Now, as long as while fruits is less in the length of fruits, this is the condition. As long as it's within the fruits, it will print that condition. Then fruit, it will be incrementing the length by 1. So let's run that and see. So you see, now what if I change? Okay, we'll do that in the next example. So you can try to see how this can execute this particular code. Now I want you to also try it out with any other example, share it and explain what you've done. Then you can look at it in another elaborate example. We want now to look at control transfer statements. Then we can come and look at as many examples which contains all those basic concepts at a go before we jump for our break. So share your screen as we do this in form of a break. Using a while condition only. Then we shall later incorporate all those concepts. So we are 103. In the list, I see 100 and okay, there's a way I'm going to, I'll send the list so that you register now, then I disable it in that break. That's the only way. Okay, as we are going for a break, don't go away. I'm going to create a list. You register now. After registering it, I disable it. No one is going to register for those ones who have not attended. That's the only way I can track. But you'll be sharing your screen. Let me create the list because I see you're 103. I only need these people who are attending now to register. Once you're done registering, I disable the list. I'm not going to share the list at the end because the number is more than 103. But in the previous attendance, you are like 100 and something. So let's go for a break of 5 minutes. And in this break, we are doing registration. Then we shall come back and proceed with conditional transfer statements. So don't go away because I'm creating the list now. you need to control so that whoever misses for today becomes much easier to track. You may forgive us because we really want you people to learn. That's why every day we keep thinking and changing on. Okay. Okay, thank you, Doctor. Now we are resuming and we will go for another 1 hour. Just to be sure that everyone has registered, I'm going to stop. It's so far people who have registered is 101. Now I'm disabling registration. So I've disabled registration. If you have not registered, please you let me know in the chat. I'll open it later, but I've disabled registration, so you can't register. I see 110, but only one. Okay, let me give. I've given you 3 more minutes to register as we explain our concept. Then after that, I'll disable it completely. So what are we going to learn next? We've learned all this stuff. We'll look at more advanced examples. Let's first understand these concepts so that we can apply all of them. I have dozens of work examples that you're going to use today, and you're going to enjoy writing them. All right, let me just comment this out and clear my terminal. Okay. Now we have reached what we call break and continue statements. I'm just going to explain that as we move. Now that you've learned how the while condition operates, you only continue printing, executing that code as long as that condition is true. But in Python, we also have what we call break. Under statements, we have what we call break and continue. So break statements are used within the loops. That's why we are bringing them right after the for loops. So we're using them within the loops so that it can control how you execute. Let's say you have a child, maybe, if you know what most programmers love teaching their kids, they say, please count 1 to 10. Then the child will maybe count 1, 2, 3. You say, just say, stop, you're not my child. Because the programmer will always know that for my child to count 1 to 10, can use a for loop and say for number in numbers, then if that condition is less or equals to 10, it will stop. That is what programmers always love testing their children in that. So let's use that simple example and see how we can look at additional control of over a loop, how a loop should behave, using what we call, the first one is break statement. Now, I just mentioned that a break statement just typically stops, okay, and terminates. The best word I can use, it terminates a loop. If a loop is executing something and you say, once that it reaches that number, please stop, it will definitely stop. So let's count 1 to 10, and then we break it at 5. Is that okay? Let's count 1 to 10. So for, you can use for number in range, the range is 1 to 10. Don't forget to terminate. Good thing that now here, okay, we were not going to use the divisible part of it, but that is how the code can be. You can just have it like this, but only that we're just going to what? We're going to allow our number to be equals to not 0, but 3. Okay? No, 10, 5. We are going to break it. So here, continue. Once that number, it continues printing. But here, let's first start with the first break statement. We have what we call a break here. Now, what does this mean? In the range of numbers printing from 1 to 10, it will print as long as it reaches 5. It will break and terminate that loop, and it stops. Let's see it in real life when we run the command line in a terminal. Just run that. So you see, just print range of 1, 2, 3, reach 5, it breaks. So that is what the condition break means. Okay. Now you could also try it out with the continue statement. Let me just add it here so that you see. That's the first example with the break. With the continue statement, that means you just change it. It's actually example 4. Okay, nice. So in this example, for numbers in range of that, if number is that, it will continue printing. Let's have a look at it in real life. But remember, once it will skip that 5, it will continue after 5. If the number is equals 5, it will continue after 5. That means it will go to 6. So let's print that and see. So now in this example, you can see here it's printed 1, 2, 3, 4. Forget about this. Let me comment this out. normally gives a bad what? It confuses students a lot. Okay, so we are looking at the continuous statement. For number in range 1 to 10, if number is equals to 5, it will continue printing the numbers in that range. Okay. Yeah, so you can see here it printed 1, 2, 3, 4. Once if number is equals number, it will skip that and continues printing the range from 1 to 10. So it won't reach, it won't include 10, and it jumps out of the loop. So that is how the condition statement works. So you could try it with any example. Get it right? Share your screen with me, and let's see if you have understood break and continue statements, which are more frequently used when programming. We have, don't worry, the last 1 hour is dealing with examples, very many. We'll have all those confidence. So I'll stop sharing my screen, then you could try it out. Share your screen. Let's see if you can apply a break statement. Think about any example, apply it. Let's proceed. Please share your screen.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir. I have a while loop. It loops indefinitely. This is infinite and break when one enter 100. That's the condition I said, enter 100 in order to stop the loop. So when you enter 100, it stop the loop. Otherwise, it keep on adding those numbers you entered into a list. Thank you.
Where's the output?
The output is down here.
Okay. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Let's have another person. Members, there are several examples on internet. You just Google while loops. You have thousands of them. Just comprehend it and we move. Hey, this guy is who is Bless?
Yeah.
You decided to use Anaconda and you're executing your code in Jupyter Notebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, the code is still the same, but when you're sending me that file, don't you think you will be sending me a .ipynb file? Okay, the idea is the same, but do you see how it's easier when you're using a VS Code? How
Yeah,
it helps you. Why are you not using because this one would, it's a data science IDE.
yes, sir. Because yeah, I thought of it, it'd be easy to send it to you, so that's why I used the Jupyter notebook.
No, just you will see it's still going to be easier. And on the, let me just explain this and people get it right. I feel you might miss a lot, because I'm laying the foundation for you to be a developer. It's not about thinking, I don't think this method is going to be right for you. Much as the codes really works, I have no problem with the codes. Definitely it will work because the interpreter is Python. But what I feel is that much as you're writing these codes within a cell, for you to be familiar, there's that confidence that you would always have as a programmer when you're using the actual tool that most people use. Now, when someone sees you like this, thinking, hey, this guy is now maybe is executing a data science kind of a project. So Jupyter basically is for data science. So I I would advise you to use PyCharm or VS Code. Otherwise, you can explain, but let's give an opportunity to another person. We'll come to that in our weeks, over week 6 or week. We will come to that. We will install Anaconda and we'll run the web, and then we can execute even Anaconda within our VS Code.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next person. Please explain. Who is this one sharing the screen and is not explaining? We can't hear you. Edgar.
This is Edgar, yes, sir.
Yes,
Can
we
you
can't
hear me
hear
now?
you. Yes, I
Can
can
you
hear
hear me
you.
now?
I
So
can
I
hear you.
said, yes, I made a break. I said for I in range of 10, if the number in this range is not, if it divided by 2 is not 0, continue. So it printed all the odd numbers in this range. It continued printing all the odd numbers in this range. For the break, I made an arrow of numbers, and I said if it is at 6, you break. So it printed all the numbers before 6 and break 20. It was at 6. That's what I did, sir.
Okay,
Am
thank
I
you,
clear?
Edgar. Yeah, you're very clear now. Can we? And then Edgar, wait. Edgar.
Yes. Yes, sir.
When you're naming your file,
Yeah.
avoid using control. Is it control floor day 2? No.
Okay.
Just make sure that it's one word. Don't just try to make it readable. You can use this
Okay,
format. Okay.
Okay. I got you. Okay.
Next. Unmute and explain.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I have a very simple for using English. My code name. I'm is the content statement. I have a look looks for in this then is equal to Bob. Continue next iteration. This code executes the name Michael. Next equal to Bob, it will continue to the next iteration and print name. So if I execute that, I usually have to see Michael and see the first Michael, and if the name is equal to Bob, it will continue to the iteration as his name. So use the break statement and clear my terminal. So how the break statement is through this name, it will print the first echo, and then for execute if it's equal to Bob, it will break out of the. So the output will just be Michael.
Nice. What's your name?
Majaliwa.
Majaliwa. Okay, thank you, Majaliwa. Okay, we haven't heard from any lady in the house. Yeah, we're about to finish. We're now going to the last bit of it, then examples. We'll have very many examples now. I've disabled registration, by the way. Just a reminder, you can't register. That means today is done. There are people who wait to register and they go away. I know how to trap you. I won't be mentioning when we will be registering. Okay, there's no lady sharing. Okay, let's share back. Let me share. Okay, Lillian.
This is my code. So I have a for loop, and then we'll check through that if this fruit berry is not in the fruits that I have up here, I'll continue to print, and this will be my output.
Okay. Thank you. You've used not. We will always try to see how to. Livingstone is going to teach you the basic operators which you can use to represent not. Zahara, okay, you're the last person sharing, then we go because I have a lot to share with you. Zahara, unmute and explain. This is student-centered. I'm giving you the privilege to show me if you're conceptualizing the content. I don't want it to be teacher-centered. Student-centered is the best approach to teaching.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I use the continue. Well, I first initialized my I and I was like, well, I is less than 6. I would add the I, but if I reach 3, I will have to continue. That implies that I'll skip the 3 and print the rest of the numbers beyond 3, but they should be less than 6. I also used it in a list where I had a list of fruits, and for the list of fruits, whereby each fruit will be identified by X. And I was like, if X is equal to mango, continue. That implies that they will skip mango and they print the rest. And this was the output.
Thank you, Zara. Okay. I'm actually loving this class. I think you guys are going to, if you guys continue like this, I might get opportunity to interact with you more in the real field after when you are in for internship. Okay, so now let us move to our last bit of conditional statements, control flow today. We're now going to look at the last bit of it. Then you can now look at as many examples using the different approaches. I believe you will love it. Let me clear this. Okay. For this particular one, allow me use, I've been using Visual Studio Code Editor. Let me use PyCharm. Doesn't matter, it's just an idea because I feel it's going to be bad if I don't try it out also in PyCharm. This is PyCharm interface. The only difference which I need to explain is that when you create your project in PyCharm, it will create, you see it's PyCharm, the directory. I'm just using PyCharm. So when you create, like try to create just create a new project. Okay. let me do it from start. Now once you open your PyCharm, this is going to be the interface of PyCharm. Then when you come to this menu and you come to file, then you click on project. Now, this is what is going to happen within this interface. One, you need to know where you are going to save the location where you're going to save your project. So my projects are going to go into this directory, okay? And it will always install for you a virtual environment. And then it will create a main.py with a welcome script whenever you create your file. Then the base interpreter, it will pick the latest version of Python from the bin, user bin. Then once you click just project, this is going to be your project. I could even say this Python project underscore BSSE. Now you can see in the location here, it's showing PyCharm project. This is a project name, Python project underscore BSE. So once I click on create, let me see this part, this window, or in a new, okay, let's just use it in the new window, So this is what happens. Okay, now it will create for you a VN, which is a virtual environment where you can have your file. So this is going to be typically the first like script using the def for defining a function. Then if blah blah, and then the print is going to be PyCharm. Now, when you run this, there are several ways how you can run in PyCharm. You can just come and click on run, or Shift plus F10. When you click on run, it will say hi PyCharm. This is just the welcome code, which you can also replace all this code by just changing it to a print LOL, or welcome to with a string, welcome to PyCharm. So once you save that and run, it will say welcome to PyCharm. So we can still use this particular part to run our code because it's just an editor. But I just want you to understand that PyCharm loves complaining. There's the business of using the white space a lot when you're coding in PyCharm. So you see this bulb here. It will always show you whenever you have an error, okay? Like now it's complaining. I don't know whether you realize it's complaining. You see here, it's underlining it. Because it always needs you to create kind of a new line. So when I press new line, just take note of this part. 1 week warning. It's a 1 week warning. But once I press enter, it goes away. And this changes to, you save it. It gets to a tick, and that's how you debug. Now it doesn't see any problem. A lot of guys who have been training, like laying foundation using PyCharm, they will always tell you those questions. Remember, I taught you the basic how to write a clean and maintainable codes using Python. I talked about the snake case, the Pascal case, and then the camel case. But in Python, we use the snake case because it's much more readable, in a readable format. So let's try to do this example using the PyCharm. but it doesn't matter. I'll still take back the code to my VS, but I don't want people to complain in future that, hey, Mr. Geoff didn't show us PyCharm what. No, I want to show you everything because at least I have some good experience in Python for close to, I started using most projects in 2018. So that's now close to 5 years experience in Python. Before I used to build most of my projects in Laravel framework. Yeah, and I think those who and React. So, but that's these days I use a lot of, I build most of my projects using Python and React. And then Laravel, but not too much. But I use React and Python a lot. The JavaScript, of course, you know, React is a JavaScript framework. Okay, so that being said aside, we can now try to run this understand this remaining concept. It's just a code editor. It's nothing much, no big deal. So we're now going to look at this particular, now you see, it's even complaining. Why it's complaining? When I press enter and I save, it's still complaining. Now you also have to press enter here. Well, like you leave like around 2. Okay. So it follows the PEP 8 guidelines, which I explained to you earlier. All right, I know how to fix it. You see, now it needs me to leave some kind of, is it a space? You see, that's why it's many times when can you mute your, can you mute your mic? Okay, so you see, each and every time you're trying to, you see, it's more sensitive to how you even, but you see, when you install the other format printer, you write codes in a much easier way without all having to check, have I missed something? Am I using PEP 8 guideline? But when you're using PyCharm, you will always be on that course throughout. Otherwise, you're writing a code, you see, you have a lot of stuff. Anyway, when we are doing debugging, I think we can try PyCharm a bit. Now, that being said, guys, don't blame me, but I have tried my best to, I think, is there any question? Probably I get to from members on how PyCharm behaves. Because now I want to just go and start explaining exception handling, try, except, and finally. Once we are done with that, we go and do our 5 examples. I give you 5 exercises. Yeah, I believe with control flows, I know I've laid the foundation very well. Even if you get a project, you can execute it. Any question on PyCharm for now? Because I have explained that you need to leave this 2 white space always. And then 2, whenever you write a line of code, you terminate and then, or you create a new line. If you're going to write a code like this, you just need to kind of get it using that PEP 8, then when you're commenting. And maybe when you try, we did comments. Okay, so that's what happens. So just make sure that you just double check here. Now it's complaining 1 week, but I think maybe we just need to leave 1 line here. Okay. So that's the only problem I find with PyCharm. Every time you write a code, it's telling you on, is it line 10? It's ending with a blank. So yeah. Now you see, I had to fix that error. I hate this kind of things. That's why I love using Visual Studio Code. And then now I can write anything just complaining. So let me explain to you what a try block means. I'll just explain try block, then I go back to the other side because I'm not going to spend my all day here with this annoying debugging thing in PyCharm. That's why I don't love PyCharm. So let's try with the try block. So we are explaining three concepts here. We are explaining try, except, and finally. Now, what a try block means, this is a you only use it when you raising an exception, like you want to force something, okay, to allow Python potentially monitor a code, and if it tries, then it catches and handles it in appropriate way using the except method. So it's a method which is used always to catch an error. Then you can handle it using the except method. So like if I'm writing a code and my password is not right, should be able to catch that password and the username and then run the code, which accepts only if the password is having maybe uppercase, all the alphanumeric characters. So that is when you use what they call the try. So it raises an exception for a code to be executed. Like I'm giving you an example, which I normally use a lot with the current password trend, which is supposed to be alphanumeric. So you try it until it checks that even if someone enters, needs to catch it until that exception of alphanumeric it catches it and handles it in appropriate way. That is what the try means. Then we also have there's one which is called also except. So except basically what does, it's used to handle specific type of exceptions which occurs. Okay. Now when you're handling like you're trying to handle a value which is not divisible by 0. You know, always when you try to divide any number with 0, you will have that error. Okay. So that value error, you will have it. But in order to handle it, you can accept maybe this code to try to handle that exceptions of a number which is not being divisible by 0. So you can use the Camo method to try to sorry, I think my network, I jumped out of, but now I'm back. Okay, so we'll look at all this example of trying. So let's see if we can try to have a code that can execute a number. Let's try to divide a number by 0 and try to use the try. Then you can probably, to allow it, print the condition once it is complete. So the final helps you now to what? To execute it. It always try to execute that code. It always try to execute it. Finally, it has worked. Like maybe print the successfully logged in. We can have maybe like 2 or 3 examples in it. So let's try to look at it in a real example here. I'm just going to demonstrate how you can use a try, except, and finally. Let's try to divide the number by 0. So just like we said, try. So we try, we terminate. It's complaining about indentation. Okay. You guys, I'm not familiar with writing these codes in. I'm going to spend a lot of time for nothing. Allow me copy my code here and go back to our user what? User PyCharm. I don't want to spend my life here suffering when I can have this pretty formatting my code. Okay, but that's why I don't like PyCharm. That's my reason. Okay, so now let me try to fix back all this. I still have, this is warning. Where are the problems? Try indentation. Try. Okay. Okay, so right now there's no problem. Try expected to terminate, so which we will do. And then expected an indented block. Then we shall have X. Let's have a number being the input. It's an integer. We can just try to divide the number by 0. Let's just have it basic. Okay. Try statement must have at least one exception or finally clue. So you can see, I think here you can see how the try condition works. So let's have an exception for it to work. The good thing, we are now getting errors, but we'll try to have it. So try statement must have at least one exception or finally clause using the standard. So that's okay. We can have an except here. Now the except is we're trying to divide. What are we trying? We're trying to divide a number with 0. So now what should we print? We can now use that error division by 0. Okay. So, or you can't divide a number by 0. Divide by 0. Then now you see those errors are going away finally. So every time you use try to make sure that you add it with an exception. So finally, then you could print this code is always executed. So how do I say now? Complete execution. Complete execution. All right. So this is how you see now I don't have any error. That is the beauty of writing your code with such kind of illustration. So now when I try to run this, hopefully I don't have any other because I don't want to have very many things running in my what? Okay. I don't want to have very many things running in my terminal. I always want to have a clean code. So Python 3, Geoff underscore Geoff .py. I save this and I press enter. So you can see it has executed here that you cannot, when you try to divide a number with 0, you get a message. Division, error division. You cannot divide by 0. Or finally, you can say now to allow some condition to get executed. When you use the final, you allow it happens. Then you say, okay, this code always executed. So execution complete. We will look at it in the next example. So if there's no any question, I would love you to get one simple example using error. They call it exceptional handling. At least when you use try, you must use one, either except or finally in your code. So let me stop sharing the screen. Pick up any, you have access to internet. Pick up any examples, throw it here. Let's talk about them and see how we proceed. Then now I give you 3 or 4 examples using all what we have covered. I give you your exercises. You execute them very well. We smile. We call it a day. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Read the chat. Try it out. Share your screen. Let's see how we can go with my examples now. Share your screen. Guys, try to be quick. We have less than 55 minutes. Unmute, explain. I need about 5 people to explain. Each person 1 minute. You mention your name, explain your code. 1 minute, 1 minute throughout. Yes.
The name is Majaliwa. So I have a list of numbers, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to try and demonstrate exception handling using try and except. So this code is going to try and the number at index 0, which will be 1. That succeeds, that means this code won't run, but this will run because this has succeeded, and then finally we shall have to print this. So if I run this, you'll see that the number at index 0 is 1, and then finally whatever code you have here will also execute. So if I want to raise this exception, the index error, I can choose an index that is out of bounds, like 5. So if I run that, then you will see that this index error has been raised. So we have hit this exception because there's no number with index 5. We only have 0, 1, and 2. We don't have the 5th index. So this raises this exception, and then it prints the code that handles that exception, which is index error. Then the error is list index out of range. But either way, the code in the finally block always runs. This will always execute.
Thank you. Well explained. Any other person? Let's have, I told you 1 minute. Now you're wasted a minute. I know I'll need only 3 people. The more you waste, you won't get opportunity to share. And a lady should be preparing to show us.
Yes, I have an example here where I try to print a variable which has not been defined, and I handle the error by printing the variable is not defined. So, and the finally block said always define a variable.
Thank you. Now I can see guys who are understanding the concept. Emmanuel, Mujawa, that is name also. Mujalewa. Catching exception. Nice. You throw an error, then catch the error. That's nice.
Yeah. I'm using the class that is used to extend the rest of the exception. So we actually don't know the exception that we're trying to catch here. We can create any exception within the try block here. This is a value exception whereby you're trying to cut a value into a string into an integer. But when I try to run the code, I'm going to put some string instead, which cannot be turned into an integer. And they're going to show us the name of the error that is occurring using the error.class.name value. Yeah. Then finally print that finish catching error.
Yes, thank you, Benjamin. Now you are getting it. You guys are going to be the best programmers in Python. Trust me.
Here I have I'm inputting a number, two numbers x and y, and I'm returning z, which is x divided by y. And now if I'm to try running, if I'm to enter my first number as like 2 and the second number, let it be 0, it will bring an exception, attempted to divide a number by 0, and the final will always execute.
Thank you, Andrew. Ladies, two ladies, let me see, you wasted time. These days I'm very strict about time because I want you to learn a lot. Now, one lady, because I'm supposed to resume in.
Okay.
Martha, I think you're going to be my friend, because I see you sharing. Tell your fellow girls to be like you,
All right. So this is the try block. So we have our list that has numbers. So we want to choose an index of our trace, which will store. But so this is the except block that will tell us if we have chosen something out of range, and then the finally block that will always run. Then if we are to run it, it's going to tell us to enter index 1. So let's say we enter 7, because we know 7 is clearly out of the range we have. So it's going to tell us, it's going to throw the error or the index we have chosen is out of range. If we choose one within the range, let's say 2, it's going to tell us the value I've chosen and the index at which it's at. Yes.
Thank you, Martha. That's a very nice example. Oh, we give an opportunity to one more lady, then I come back with my examples. My examples are real world examples. Zara, usual suspects,
So, well, this is my try block. I'm going to prompt the user to enter the number, 2 numbers, the first number and the second number, and then I will divide the 2 numbers and print the result. That will be, if the number is correct, it will print the result. But if the number is invalid, this block will be executed and we shall print invalid input. Please enter a valid number. If the user has tried to enter the second number and is dividing the number that is a 0, it will have to print cannot divide a number by 0. So I can try this out. When I enter number 2, 0, it will print the last, that is cannot divide by 0. Then if I enter 3, Oh, sorry. If I enter 3, it will divide and give me the result. That implies that the try block will be executed.
All right, thank you. Now, back to my the things that I wanted to talk much about. Allow me explain this in a real world situation, okay? There are two things that normally happens with students: dealing with depressions and dealing with emotions. The code I'm going to write is kind of the way I think about it. I'm now trying to use real world problem. You might not easily get them, but it's how you think. It's how you can write the code. So I'm just going to try to write kind of like a new code from how I feel and how I think, dealing with emotions or dealing with what they call dealing with you try to see if you can handle mental health. I'm bringing this because when I was doing some short course of Python at MIT, they trained us a lot as programmers to help students overcome their emotions. So one of the biggest problems that most students get at campus, I think you've heard of a lady from, is it Cobams? The one who, after exams like this, went home, hanged herself after completing 3 years in school. If you feel you're sad, how do you go about being sad? How do I write a code? How to, you enter kind of, you input, it will prompt you to input. If you're sad, how do I go about it? Yeah, then we also, there are a lot of mental health challenges going at campus, a lot. So I just want to use these real world examples so that it helps you understand how to deal with them. And in that process, when you are coding, you code with fun, because you see if you're happy, how do you, if you're happy, clap your hand, you just make it kind of like childish but fun, but you know coding is supposed to be fun. So let's dive into what I feel and what I think should be kind of the inputs that you can use Python to execute some of those commands. So this is going to be my example. Then I'll give you one example to play with, okay? Now, in my example, I'm going to consider using a dic. A dic is a dictionary. Now, remember, I mentioned it earlier that when you're using a dictionary, you use what do they call what? The curly braces. I talked about it, right? Day one, those who remember me. So I could probably pass my argument inside the dictionary, okay? Then later, I can prompt the user to enter their emotions basing on what I define in my dictionary. Then later, you would get the output, but this will work with the conditional or control flows of if and else, okay? If you get that condition, you definitely get the other condition. So you can play around with it, then write the codes in a more fun way. So let's deal with emotions. I think girls are the most emotional people. I don't know, I'm not being biased, but just trying to be curious. So let's see, let's have fun coding. This is not, it's what I think, is what I feel, it's what I play with. So let's say I have going to create emotions. Now, I want to apply it using a dictionary. And when you use this the curly braces and press enter, then, wow, I love what? I love tab 9. Now, I've actually, instead of being so much disappointed, like writing all these codes, now I can see there's happiness. Now, I can now try to modify this a bit so that I can write what I feel. So if you're happy, let's try to display the message. Happy, I can say I am, this one I'm just writing it myself. I'm glad to hear you are happy. Now, okay, let me avoid using this because it might mean a different thing. When I put this, you get error. Do you know how to solve that, students? You can unmute. I know how to solve it, but do you know how to solve this kind of, you see?
You have to escape.
What am I saying?
You have to escape the single if.
I have to do what?
Escape. Escape.
Escape. The single. Yes. What I'm meaning is that escape the, no, I want to represent it as a string, as a str, to include that. Like, remember, I can shorten, I can abbreviate I am with I, hyphen, am, but I'm still getting that error. How do I
make
solve
the single quotes as double quotes?
I make the single. So, thank you. Who is that? Could you mention your name? Because I can't see the names until I'm probably
Moses Odera.
Just mention, just for me to know, to get to know your name. It's a good practice. Just mention your name. Always. I don't want greetings. Just mention your name and try and what I should do. That is the best.
Moses Odera.
Okay, thank you. Always, I just want everyone who is in my class to know that my rules, when you want to submit, mention your name and the solution you're providing, yeah, so that it's easier for me to know you, and also your name will remain in my memory. Even when I meet you physically, I would know that this was an active student. Abdu has not been talking, he has not participated, just like that. So that's what I will be doing. So this is what you do. You just use a double quote here, so that whatever is inside those becomes what? They become a string, right? Yeah, that's how you go about solving some of that. Then another thing is sad. Okay, let's be creative. Let's not say sad. Let's try to make the message more practical. So I'll just open the quotes here. And also, I'm going to just say, oh, oops. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling sad. Okay. I need to, okay. So now I'm going to throw the balls back to you. What message should we print here? Can someone try to tell me? What kind of output should we get for angry? We are dealing with real life situations. Anyone, please? Just mention your name and give me, I will type it here. Okay. Okay, let me try to think about, maybe if you're angry, take a deep a deep sleep. You could take a deep breath. Don't want to complete. And try to stay calm. Okay, try to stay alive. Nice. I like it that way. Then let's say you're dealing with oh, I actually saw something. I saw it suggesting something here. So when let's say I understand that fear can be challenging. Just any word, you guys don't even complicate. I just want a good message. Then disgusted. Understand that no, let's try to vary. Thoughts. Oh, okay, that's unfortunate. To feel disgusted. Okay. So this is what I made in my dictionary about my emotions. Now I want to prompt a user. If a user enters an input and I ask them, how are you feeling? Sad. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling sad. You know, such kind of things. Okay. I think it's much fun, right? So let's try to do that. Let's prompt the user to enter their emotions. Okay. So let's just, I told you that when you're using Python, always try to use the snake case. So so that it's readable. We can call it user prompt. Okay. Or user emotion. This sounds emotions, so that because there are many, so that we make our code much more better. Okay, so we shall have an input. Then we can have a string and say how are you feeling today? That's a question, right? Okay. Then it will prompt you to type whether happy, sad, fearful. That is it. And now, okay. Now, because we want to when you try to print this, when you try to print emotions, which is a good thing, but before we get there, let's try to use an if. Okay. First, let's try to allow all our, let's have a situation where our text is case insensitive, so that, you know, case sensitive, Python is case sensitive. So let's now, because someone may write sad in capital letter. Hey, know it, Python, what we have written here is in lowercase. Do you understand me? Do you understand what I'm trying to do here? Because if you type in capital letter, you will, okay, let's go, I'll come back and fix that error. So let's now say, if user so we're using to check in the dictionary. If user emotion in emotion, I think this is not, if user, what did I write here? Emotion. Okay. If user emotion in our dictionary, we are just trying to check in the dictionary, in emotions. Then we terminate. Then now we can now bring back this code. Yeah, print emotion, user emotion. Now, if that is what is there, then otherwise, if it is not recognized, if I try to print something which I've not defined here, we can have the else if. If I'm else what? I'm sorry, I don't understand your emotions. I think that is fine, right? So here we are playing around with this kind of emotion. But I've told you that you might need to Google and understand what happens. Let me comment this out. What happens if I type in capital letters? Because here I define them in lowercase, and Python is case sensitive. Let's first run this. How are you feeling today? Let me type in capital letter. Sad. I'm sorry, I don't understand that. But remember, remember you defined, okay, let's just say, run it one more time and type it in small letters. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling. Now, you see this works. So, how are you feeling? And when I type in sad, it now says, oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling sad. You see, because we define sad. But when I type in capital letter, oh, oops, sorry. Hey. I told you Python is case sensitive. So if I type sad in capital letter, it will say, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Otherwise, because it's not understanding it. But if you just want to make sure that we don't mind about let it not be case sensitive, then you can convert the input, okay? From around here. You just say convert, let it just convert, it will just convert user, okay, the user input to lower case. And the good thing, perfect. The good thing Python can just, once you just write something in the comment, it will know what you want to do. That's why you don't need even, programming is actually very easy these days because you don't need to think about it. You just type what you feel like it should do. It will know what you want to do. It suggests for you. Now this is perfect. I can save it. Now I can clear this. Now, even if I run this and I type in capital letter, it will change it to lowercase and say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling sad. Okay. So this is how you apply some of this Python script to come up with similar examples. You can use if, elif, can apply 3 conditions, 2 conditions. So this is my first example. I hope it was fun. Let me know if you can write a Python script. Of course, actually not let me know. This is your exercise now, and you share your screen. So write.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, yes.
Now, what if, for example, someone inputs first data when it's capital, then the rest when it's small? Is the result still the same?
When it types in what?
Like the first letter, for example, S, when S is capital, and then the rest will be in small letters when inputting.
Let's do it practically. I've understood what you're asking. So S is caps, then the rest. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because it converts everything to what? Lowercase. Perfect.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay,
nice. Now, this is your exercise. Of course, you've understood the code. Write a program to ask students about their mental health. That's your exercise. Write it and share your screen. Okay. Yeah, guys, I think I've done enough. I'm going to take maybe a cup of water as you do that exercise 1. Simple, right? Hello. Hello, students. Is it simple? You're not responding. You can. Okay, let me check in the chat.
Simple.
It's simple, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, someone can. Okay, you can write it. Let me see if that can be okay. Someone saying this life is no balance. Do you like the course? How am I teaching you? Some feedback. Am I too fast? Am I deceiving you? Some kind of feedback. Yes, as you are working, eh?
Yeah,
Ask your question.
site is good. For the example, it's broad. Like it needed more elaboration. What we should ask.
Mental health.
Yeah.
I didn't want you guys to come up with something which is okay. 1, you prompt the user on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you rate your mental health? I think that makes sense. Prompt. Actually, now you've made me to narrow it down there. So this is it. Prompt students on a scale of 1 to 10 to rate their mental health. All right. Much more clear. Hope so. It's simple now, right? Hello.
Yes,
Okay.
it is simple now.
It's simple. Okay. Nice. I was asking for feedback. You guys have not stopped teaching. I see guys are logging out. And you know, these days I changed my systems. I don't want to be giving people free marks. I track the students directly from here, from the registration, even with assignments. There are times when we reach a time when I will tell you to submit. If you don't submit within that time, I lock it out. Because as a student, we don't need to give you freedom. Even this morning, I saw people sending me their work. And for those ones who have replied to my email, thank you. But all of us, please reply to my greeting emails. There are some people's emails which are not working. And I hope you have read the message. All right. Try out that as we see. Anyone?
Yes, sir. Some of us have finished using
Yeah,
it.
I know. I know if you're using those things, it can actually help you a lot. Tab 9 suggests for you. Okay.
So when I used some tool like ChatGPT,
When you did what?
after using ChatGPT, it gave me an example.
Okay.
And it was about printing. It first helped print something like "Welcome to this mental health survey." Then it created for me an empty dictionary. After that, I prompted for input of the name and the grade. And then after them inputting those two, I asked them some survey questions where they have to enter the responses. Then I store that into the dictionary created previously. Then I print a summary of the survey responses, and this is how it was running. I said enter name, then I enter the name. Conrad, grade maybe 4. Then how are you feeling? Response sad. Then that I'll be like yes, if I've been experiencing some stress. Then enough sleep, no. In most cases it has to be no. Then they display for me a summary like that. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, but with those generative AI tools, Bard and ChatGPT, they are actually very good. I think it is sending people away from my experience is that I know you have heard about W3 School, you've heard about Khan Academy, you've heard about Pod Academy, you've tried, but these days people no longer go there with this generative AI tool. So make good use of BARDS and ChatGPT. I have no problem as long as you can conceptualize. And also I think it helps people a lot from too much reading of books, and sometimes you don't even not well written and with not good explanation. Some of these AI tools, yeah, they're really good. Someone should share the screen as I tell you. And then one thing I need to tell you, there's going to be a lot of unemployment because of these AI tools. So if you want to man up your game, this is the time. Please unmute, explain.
So I have created the dictionary called emotion with key value pairs from 1 to 10. And this line is asking for the user input on a scale of 1 to 10. How are you feeling today? And then I'm using exception handling to catch errors, like when the user enters a number like 0, -1, something like that. So if you enter an invalid number, this should be prompted on the console. So let's try it out and see. This other block of code will print the corresponding rating for the emotion of how you're feeling. So if I run this code and I'm being asked on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to say 8. So 8 is good, 8 is great. So it has looked through this dictionary and found this key value pair, and then it has printed this value 8, 8 is great. So let's try to raise an exception. So if I enter 0, nothing happens. Let's try -1. I think there's some error in my except cloud.
Yeah, it's not catching. And
Yeah.
no, the message to what to input when it's in that. Okay, try to figure it out. I like the concept that you're bringing. Figure it out, and then you come back and reshare your screen.
Okay.
Okay. It's easier to fix these days. Actually, programming is very simple these days. Please share screen. Share screen. Members, just this is the opportunity. Respond to my email.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Sarah.
I prompted I first of all welcomed the user to a mental health assessment, and then I prompted them to enter their name. Then I told them, hello, the name you've entered, let's assess your mental health. And in the rating of 1 to 10, I told them in the rating of 1 to 10, how would they rate their mental health? And this was also prompting them. So I will give a rating, maybe I give 4 or 10. Then I'll bring in exception handling, having entered the rate, which is always over type integer. If it's between, it should be less than 1, and it shouldn't be. It should be greater than 1 and shouldn't be greater than 10. Then if the value entered is not a number, there will be an error, and that error will be handled by the except block and will be like invalid input. Please enter the number between 1 and 10. Then we exit that block. Then having entered, if the error has not been handled, of course the try block will be executed, and we thank them for sharing. And then we print their name and we also give them their rating. And I tried it out here, and I had entered my mental health as 4. Then having entered 4, then they had to rate it to 4 out of 10.
Thank you. Well explained. Good job. Cynthia, you didn't receive. Cynthia, did you register? Have you all registered today? Is there anyone who didn't register? Because I locked you out, you can't register anymore. If you have all registered, press 1 to just confirm. we are coming on top of our 0. Where have you been, Brian? Please share your screen. Share your screen. This doesn't stop people from what?
So I have figured out the error.
Okay.
This try and catch block of code is to catch this the error that might occur when a user enters a string or something that is not an integer. For example, if you enter something like C, this code will execute. It will catch the error because what we are doing here is we are converting whatever value we are getting from the user input into an integer. So if a -1 is an integer and 0 is an integer. So if you enter something that is not an integer, it should execute this block of code, which is why it's working now. So either way, otherwise, if you enter a valid number like 9, this try catch will be successful, and then it will exit out of the exception handling block of code and execute this other block of code. And then it will use the value that has been entered, which is 9, and it will look for it in the dictionary, and then it will receive this key value pair, you are strong, which is what you're getting here. You are strong.
Oh, thank you. Well explained. You see now it prompts you to think. It prompts you to solve problems. That's very good. Next. I don't mind about people who are not sharing screens, but don't blame me when you have low marks.
Yes, I have a simple dictionary where I have only 3 key value pairs, and it raised mental health skills. 1 is normal, 2 is average, then 3 is medium. I prompt a student to enter their mental health, then print according to the number they have entered. If you enter 1, I display normal. If you enter 2, you display average. And 3 is medium. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abdul. Senteza, Kauma, Solomon, or Joke. What will it take? All these people.
This is Owen. So this is my code about mental health. This is a dictionary, and actually I'm taking in a string. So have one of anxiety, depression, anger, fear, and sadness. Then the text should be displayed corresponding to each. Then here I ask the user to enter. Actually, I use the variable enter. So here this is an input. The question is what's your mental health? Then here I take whatever has been entered to lower. Then I check if what we have entered is actually in our dictionary. If it's there, then we print out the corresponding statement or the mapping. Then if it's not there, then there I say I don't know. And when I come here, my terminal, I try to learn. What's your mental health? Maybe I can put there fear. I can even put capital letters. No matter the case, I can start with 2 capital and then 2 small letters. Yeah, still to give me the corresponding mapping, which is it is fears. Since actually most what you have entered is actually turned into a lower case. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Owen. Just announcement. I've enabled the registration to continue for the next 3 minutes, because if you have logged in and you have attended, I don't want to penalize you since this is just day 1. I just want you to be understanding me. You know, day 1 I was so nice. Now I'm changing like that. Yeah, because I want you to really know my principles from day 1. so that I don't want you to be disturbing me a lot. Yeah. Have enabled finished the registration and put your correct email. I think I'll try to shorten this entire 3 hours long recording into about 10 to 25 minutes so that you don't spend a lot of time in future if you want to understand the concept, because I understand your time is more valuable. I'll try to shorten them by making an elaborate explanation of this and share it with you later over the weekend. I'll be doing it every weekend. Yeah. Otherwise, the forms are active for those ones who don't have the link for the form. I'm now dropping my email for you to submit today's work. And things have changed today. You only submit between now and 2 p.m. Beyond that, I won't read your email. So over to you, Dr. Ruth.
Okay, thank you very much, Geoffrey. And also thank you, class. Geoffrey was very happy with you. You're interacting and learning a lot. Unfortunately, one of you had requested that to make it 2 hours. And then another one said, no, we don't. So I take it that, so therefore we shall stay with our 3 hours unless anybody else has a complaint. So let me, please feel free to log off and quickly attend to your assignment. And also have some lunch. We meet at 2. Okay, somebody else saying 2 hours, please. But you notice the last hours, there's a lot of time spent you sharing your screens and all. So the effective time for learning is not actually 2 hours. It's more like 1.5. The concepts that are introduced, the concepts that are introduced are not many. It's just that you are many and the trainers have to give you time to share. So
we are actually student-centered. That's the thing. Otherwise, if it is us teaching 30 minutes, we go away. That's why I was telling them over the weekend, I'll be shortening the entire recording and send it to them. So the issue here is it is student-centered. I think that's what doctors should emphasize more. They shouldn't look at it that we are overtying them here.
Somebody says, let's vote. But you see, also, you have a whole day tomorrow that is free. You understand? To go through again. Because the other times we're doing recess, the next day would also still have class. So maybe what I would request Geoffrey, maybe to revise the assignment deadline, which is 2 p.m. for him, but maybe that's a bit, I don't know, Geoffrey, if you can revise that.
Okay.
Go for lunch, have a break, come back fresh for 2 p.m.
All right, so let's revise that time. Let's vote now on that time.
Yeah.
Democracy.
Yes.
(6 p.m. tomorrow). Please vote faster. You are over 100. So I'll go with the majority vote.
Are you counting them?
No, I'm trying to see, but it's easier. I can save this and just quickly get it.
Those who are putting just 6 p.m. Are you meaning 6 p.m. today, 6 p.m. tomorrow? You need to be clear.
Doctor, may I talk, please?
Okay, Ambrose.
Greetings to everyone.
You're allowed to talk.
I would suggest that maybe the deadline pushes to tomorrow, 6 p.m. because you realize we have another lecture kicking in at 2, and then we shall have that assignment after that lecture. So if it can be tomorrow for all the other assignments, it's better.
Okay, any other person? Raise up your hand and then. Manuel?
Yes.
Mm.
My question is about the submission because
I've
I
sent
remember
my email in the chat.
Dr.
I've sent my
Livington.
email.
Okay, my query is Livington
Mm.
asked us if we are sending him the assignment, we should do carbon copy to you because you are marking together. So in the evening, if we are sending, we send because we are sending a folder. Do we have to send it twice or we always send?
Oh, that's a good one, Emmanuel. I got issues yesterday reading your files. Please don't send me zip files. Don't, because I have to extract. You're giving me a lot of work, which I don't have that time. To first extract your work, then put your work in one folder, then read it. No, just send me the .py file, carbon copy me and Livingstone.
Okay.
Because he's supposed to see my progress and your progress. So in that way,
Because
we
that
can
was what
track.
he asked. He asked us to zip the file because he was having many files, different files. So he asked us to zip and
Me personally, I've been marking students' work. It is very difficult to unzip. That's too much work, you guys. You don't know, but it's easier to just download the file in one folder, then just click on the student's name. You see what they have done.
so
With
that
my
means
experience, what you just do, the one for morning, it's going to be your name. Just write, make sure the name is the same. Then you say morning, then .py. Then the one your name, morning, afternoon, .py. Just do that.
Okay.
Those two files are much better.
Okay, thank you.
Let me type in the chat here because I've been suffering extracting you guys, because I also have to balance. I'm also working. I'm just giving you example here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
We are kindly requesting you to be clear about the assignment. What should we submit today?
Hey, what you've been working on, don't you have exercises there? I'll check. There are some people who have not done it. Me, I know it.
So when is the deadline, please?
Hey, I thought the voting is done. Tomorrow.
All right.
Tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow. Let's just stop it tomorrow. Tomorrow time, 5 p.m.
So,
Nice?
so actually, we are submitting what we have been doing shortly during the lecture.
Yes.
Short presentations.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there will be those exercises will be there. Okay.
And we carbon copy Mr. Livingstone?
Definitely, because it's supposed to check what I've taught in the morning and in the afternoon. Remember, in the afternoon, I want to be logging in.
So even when we are submitting his assignment as well, we're supposed to carbon copy.
Just send 2 files. I want to be okay. Zara, I'll allow you to talk. Let me just skip around for 2 minutes. What you do, I've given you example how you can send the files. Just write your name, morning.py, then afternoon.py. Then just make sure in that one email you're sending, you send both the 2 files so that I download them at a go in that same directory. Then when I open my file, it's easier to see all of them. Because once you make sure you type your name exactly like that, so that is easier. Have I answered all your questions?
Definitely.
Emmanuel is up, Zara is still up, Ambrose is still up. Unmute and talk.
All right, sir. I think I'm now answered. Let me put back my arm now.
Okay. Emmanuel?
My query is if you write like that, maybe afternoon, then tomorrow, the next session, we are going to use the same file or we write another file with the same name, or we write like Geoff Geoffrey afternoon, day 1, then we move on, or
Don't mind the emails. Once you send, that's why once you send me an email like okay, let's do like this. Let's be orderly. The problem, you won't have internet at the same time. Just send me the email. Me, I'll track when I'm downloading them. It shows the time the email has arrived. Then I would save them in that particular folder. Just continue with the same file name.
Okay.
You don't, yeah, I only need 2 files. Don't send more than 2 files in a day. Because I won't open the rest. Because you are over 100 here. 2 files, those are 200 students. Opening those 200 files every day. You understand, eh? Yes, Anthony? Unmute and mention whatever. Anthony, unmute. Your hand is up.
Yeah, so currently, can we just submit the file that we've been working on, or we wait for the evening?
All of you wait and submit at a go, the 2 files. That's why I pushed the deadline to tomorrow, 5 p.m.
Okay, go.
Alanda.
Excuse me, sir. There is somebody in the chat is saying that PY files are not supported in attachments. Is it true or because
It is not supported what?
In attachment?
That's false. It is supported. It is supported. Don't send me zip files.
Sir,
Yes, please.
when you're sending I got the same issue as that person. If you're trying to use the inbuilt email service in Windows, they don't support attaching the Python files. But if you use something like Microsoft, if you use Chrome, it's allowed. Yeah.
Okay, guys, allow me share my screen and show you this. Are you all seeing my email? Are you seeing my inbox in my mail? Am I muted? Hello? I think
Yes, we are seeing it. We are seeing it.
now
Yes,
when someone sends me work, like of course here I would see that it's your name. Now you see this person day 1. I even don't know when you download the file. What I'm saying is when you see .py can be sent, but when you download, you will download day 1. Like this email, I normally don't open them because it will give me. But when you send me like let's look at Zara's work here. No, let's look at Benjamin. I don't know whether he has done. Okay, if you see like when I download like this file, okay, it has downloaded. I can even just right click and open this folder. Now, once I open the folder, of course, okay. Once I open the folder, now I would be having this file here. Now I know that I can download all these files like the way I've downloaded, and then now I right click, then open, select application, then I click on VS Code, then click on open. Now I can see your work here. So you find in a folder, all the students' names are being displayed here. All, even if I give you an assignment, all your names will be here. Then now I can see. But when you're sending it to me, it's okay. Even if you comment, but it would be better if you leave it like the way this guy has done. Control follow flows. If now here I can see, I want to give him marks. I see whether he did the exercise. I'll look for that part. And I expected this was supposed to be maybe like his exercise 1. So if I'm marking, I'll just go to the exercise 1. I'll go to exercise 1, then see. Okay, has it done? Then I can even see if I can run your code. Like this is Benjamin, what? And once I'm within that same directory where I've downloaded students' work, and I run your code, I will see. If the code is having errors, I reduce on the marks. If it is working, I give you the marks. That's how it is done, brothers and sisters. I've explained you guys. I want to do some other stuff. Any more question? One last one. Then I stop. I think I'm now clear on the marking. I mark those assignments. How I read them. Julius. Yes, unmute and ask your question. No questions. Okay.
Yes,
Bye-bye. See you on
I have a sir. I have a question.
Yes.
Like right now, as you said, you're going to run it. Because if the code we are presenting to you, the file we are presenting to you, it has like multiple things we are running. The first code can be an if. The second one may be printing about another thing. Do we
I
need
know.
to send to multiple, or we
It's okay.
have to
Just
comment?
send multiple. When I'm, of course, you guys, I'm not dumb. When I'm marking and I'm interested in the exercise, I'll just, once I run the output, I'll go and look for that part. I know it would be long in my output terminal here, but I'll just go down there and look for that particular exercise. Anyway, you will see it on Friday.
Okay, sir.
But have you understood?
Yeah, I've understood.
Yeah, because it will print all those output, but I will be interested in the one which is exercise.
Okay.
I'll be giving you exercises. That one I know.
So like if I finish the assignment before the end of today, I'm free to submit.
If you finish both, I want you to send both files today. If you finish all of them today, send both. We have already agreed on the time. Any question? Can I exit?
Sir, you're meaning the one for the afternoon session and this one?
Yes, you send all of them at a go.
Okay.
Any more question? I want to exit, guys. Leave at will. Okay, bye-bye. See you on Friday.